So I picked up this Crate V5 combo amp from a Goodwill auction, and it was supposed to be for parts of repair, not working. And I figured, great, this is a chance for me to kind of, flex my repair muscles and such. Anyway, it came in and it had this 6x9 car speaker in it. I took that thing out, put a 10-inch speaker in there, did some quick troubleshooting, and really the only thing wrong with it was the power on indicator light. So I got that thing fixed and got the amp up and running, and it sounded pretty good, but it also seemed pretty quiet for being, a V5. In other words, a 5-watt amp. And I knew the EL84 was capable of doing more than what I was hearing. So anyway, I took a look at the schematic that I downloaded from the internet and started looking at the changes that were made to the circuit board. And what I found was in the EL84 power amp section, somebody had traded out the resistor capacitor pair for the cathode, and they had traded out the screen grid resistor as well. So they had changed it from a Pentode mode into a Triode mode. It made it run a lot quieter. I think what the previous owner was trying to do by giving it this, anemic speaker and putting the EL84 into a Triode configuration, I think they were trying to lower the output volume and still get the tube overdrive sound. And after looking at the schematic and seeing what they changed, I wanted to bring it back into the Pentode configuration because it should have a lot more volume. Let's take a listen to what the amp sounds like before I make any modifications. Then I'll show you the circuit board, walk through the changes that were made and the changes that I'm going to make to put it back into the Pentode configuration, and then we'll have one final listen. All right? Here we go. All right, so the schematic for the V5. So I've printed out the page that has the power amp section of the V5 here. You can see the tone stack and the second half of the 12AX7 here. So it's coming into the EL84. The output volume is set with a pair of static resistors, so there's not any kind of master volume control here at all. But the changes that were made, originally this was built with a 330 ohm resistor and a 100 microfarad bypass cap hanging off of the cathode. For the screen grid, we have a 470 3-watt resistor. But the way the thing is configured now, pull up my notes here, R18, that's my screen grid, R17 and C19 are the cathode resistor and bypass cap. So as designed, these should be 470, 330, and 100 microfarad. The way that they are configured now is the screen is just jumpered to the B plus supply. That's what puts the EL84 into Triode configuration. It looks like they moved that 470 ohm resistor down to the cathode, and then they replaced that 100 microfarad with 25. Taking a look at some similar amps that are the single-ended Class A, the V8 Palomino, also by Crate, uses these values: 1K on the screen, 100 ohm, and 220 microfarad. Then there's the Epiphone Valve Junior using these different component values: a 4K7, 220 ohm, and a 22 microfarad. The Marshall Class 5, a 1K resistor at the screen, 150 ohm and 47 microfarad capacitor at the cathode. And the Vox AC4, which has a 470 ohm resistor at the screen, similar to the original design of the V5, a 220 ohm and 220 microfarad cap. So I have a few 3-watt resistors here. I've got some 330s and I also have some 220s. So it looks like what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove that 470 resistor and I'm going to put that back at the screen the way the original design was. I'm going to stick with the 25 microfarad capacitor, but I'm going to lower that 470 there. I could put the 330 back in, but I think I'm going to go ahead and put in that 220. So I'm going to be getting more into this Vox AC4 kind of setting here, but it should be a little bit different dealing with the high frequencies. So that's my plan. All right, so I've got the amp opened up here and I can show you where the changes were made. This is that R18, so that's my screen resistor that's been just tied to the B+. This is the 470 ohm resistor that was once there, but it was moved down to the cathode. And this is C19, which used to be 100 microfarad, and they've replaced it with, I'll move this thing around so you can see the markings on the capacitor. You've replaced it with a 25 microfarad, 25 volt Mallory cap. So I'm going to try to do this with getting the soldering iron in there, and I'm just going to lift this up because I really don't want to take the board out if I don't have to, but I should be able to make the changes here. All right. Got the old forceps there holding on to my bug. So now we've got the 470 going across for R18, and R17 is 220. All right, let's give it a test. Okay, it's already appreciably louder. So hopefully those changes come through across a YouTube video. The Pentode configuration is a lot louder here in the room. Now, one thing I have been struggling with when I was doing recording 20 odd years ago, I just had an amp and a microphone and I was recording it and writing songs and stuff like that. But capturing an amplifier with a microphone and whatever recording gear I had, it was always a huge challenge to get it to sound convincing enough in a recording. So I'm experimenting around here. I've got this Zoom H4n, which I'm using for recording. I've also got the iPhone microphone that's native to that. And I've got a dynamic and a condenser microphone that I'm also running into the Zoom. So I suspect that a combination of microphones is going to sound best. But do let me know what you think. I appreciate all of your advice and I appreciate you guys sticking with me through this one. So anyway, I've got a cool amp now, and now I need to focus on capturing that audio in a recording so I can do some other cool stuff in the next project. And I will see you all there.